devotees. Welcome to Bhagavad Sanga program. This is our Srimad Bhagavatam program where we read prayers of pure devotees. The current theme is prayers of demigods. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, from verse 26 to 41. Today we have a very wonderful and a young Vaishnava who will be presenting the verses and sharing his realizations. We have Madhava Guara with us. Hare Krishna Madhava, over to you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for joining today's Bhagavad Sangha. I would like to thank Satisar Prabhu, Jaisabhadra Mataji, Prashant Prabhu, and Veena Mataji for giving me this opportunity, even though I'm not qualified. I'm doing this service to simply purify myself, so if I make any mistakes, please forgive me and please bless me. To invoke auspiciousness, we will first recite Mangalacharan prayers. Today we will be discussing the Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवे प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय. Today we will be discussing the prayers of the demigods, which are from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.26 to 10.2.41. To get the context of these prayers, I will start with the backstory. In these profound prayers, the demigods approach Lord Krishna while he is still residing within the womb of Mother Devaki. Although the Lord has not yet visibly appeared before the world, the demigods fully understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has descended by his own internal potency. They know that his appearance is never an ordinary birth, but a divine manifestation performed entirely according to his own independent will. The Lord has descended to fulfill his eternal promise of protecting his devotees, destroying the influence of religious rulers like such as Kamsa, and re-establishing the eternal principles of dharma. Therefore, the demigods do not lament over the difficult external circumstances. Even though Devaki and Vasudev remain imprisoned and Kamsa appears to control the kingdom through fear and violence, the demigods know that the situation has already changed because Lord Krishna himself has entered the world. Their prayers are expressions of complete confidence in the Lord's plan rather than requests born from anxiety. The prayers began by glorifying Krishna as the absolute truth, the original source, and of everything that exists. This establishes one of Bhagavatam's central philosophical teachings. Although the material world appears real and constantly occupies our attention, it is temporary and dependent upon the eternal reality of the Supreme Lord. Everything that we experience within this world is constantly changing. Our bodies pass through childhood, youth, adulthood, old age, and eventually death. Our possessions come and go, relationships develop and sometimes end, wealth is gained and lost, nations rise and fall, civilizations flourish and disappear, and even planets and universes eventually undergo creation and then destruction. Material existence is characterized by continual transformation. Krishna alone remains completely unchanged throughout all these changes. He is eternal, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. Unlike material objects which exist for a limited period of time before being destroyed, Krishna exists eternally before creation, during creation, and after the annihilation of the universe. Everything rests upon him, just as ornaments depend upon gold or waves depend upon the ocean. Because Krishna is the foundation of all existence, the Bhagavatam repeatedly directs our attention away from temporary shelters and toward the eternal shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more one depends upon temporary arrangements, the more one experiences disappointment, whereas dependence upon Krishna provides lasting peace because he never changes. Before we start reciting the verses, we will start with some prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Now we will start reciting the first verse. 10.2.26 Satyavratam satyaparam trisatyam satyasya yonim nihitam cha satye satyasya satyam vrita satyam netram satyamakam tvam sharanam prapanaha. Translation. The demigods prayed, O Lord, you never deviate from your vow, which is always perfect because whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. Being present in the three phases of our cosmic manifestation, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you're the supreme truth. Indeed, unless one is complete truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore cannot be achieved by hypocrites. You're the active principle, the real truth, in all the ingredients of creation, and therefore you're known as Antaryami, the inner force. You're equal to everyone, and your instructions apply for everyone, for all time. You're the beginning of all truth. Therefore, offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection. So my realization was on this verse was that um a beautiful point from this purport is that the demigods approach Krishna as the absolute truth, not just as someone powerful who can solve their immediate problem. Everything in this world is temporary our body, wealth, position, even the demigods themselves. But Krishna alone remains the same in the past, present, and the future. Srila Prabhupada also reminds us that while parents, doctors, and other people may help us, real protection ultimately comes from Krishna's mercy. That is why the demigods surrender directly to him with complete faith. Another important lesson is that Krishna always keeps his promises. When he says that he will protect his devotees, his words never fail because he's Satyavrata, one whose vow is always true. Finally, this verse teaches that Krishna is understood not simply through knowledge but through bhakti. The more we serve and depend on him, the more we realize that he is the source of all strength, intelligence, and success. This dependence naturally removes anxiety because we know our life is in the hands of the perfect protector. 10.2.27 Ekayanoso difalashtimulas chaturasha panchavidashadatma saptatvagasto vitapona dasa chadidvikago yadivrikshaha. The body, the total body, and the individual body are of the same composition, may figuratively be called the original tree. From this tree, which fully depends on the ground of material nature, come two kinds of fruit the enjoyment of happiness and the suffering of distress. The cause of the tree, forming its three roots, is association with the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. The fruits of bodily happiness have four tastes religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, which are experienced through five senses of acquiring knowledge in the midst of six circumstances lamentation, illusion, old age, death, hunger, and thirst. The seven layers of bark covering the tree are skin, blood, muscle, fat, bone, marrow, and semen. And the eight branches of the tree are the five gross and three subtle elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. The tree of the body has nine hollows: the eyes, the ears, the nostrils, the mouth, the rectum, and the genitals, and 10 leaves, the 10 arrows passing through the body. In this tree of the body, there are two birds. One is the individual soul, and the other is the super soul. So, a striking lesson from this purport is that everything we see, both living and non living, has its origin in Krishna. The material elements are his inferior energy, while every living being is his superior energy, showing that life can never be reduced to matter alone. Srila Prabhupada also explains the example of the two birds in one tree, representing the individual soul and the super soul. Although they exist together within the body, they never lose their individual identities. Krishna is always present in our heart as a super soul, patiently witnessing, guiding, and giving us the opportunity to return to Him. By understanding this, we stop identifying ourselves with the temporary body and begin to see ourselves as eternal servants of Krishna, who is always accompanying us wherever we go. त्वमेक एव सता प्रसूतेस्त्वं सान्निधानं त्वमनुग्रहश्च त्वन्मायाय संवृतचेतसः सत्त्वं पश्यन्ति नाना विपश्चितो ये. The efficient cause of this material world, manifested with its many varieties as the original tree, is you, O Lord. You are also the maintainer of this material world. And after annihilation, you are the one in whom everything is conserved. Those who are covered by your external energy cannot see you behind this manifestation, but theirs is not the vision of learned devotees. This purport teaches us to see that we have to see everything in relation to Krishna. Brahma, Shiva, and all the other demigods have important responsibilities, but they are all working under Krishna's direction and are empowered by him. Srila Prabhupada also gives a very encouraging realization. A devotee even sees difficulties as Krishna's mercy. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" a devotee thinks, "How is Krishna helping me grow through this situation?" This vision comes from his spiritual knowledge and deep faith. Rather than becoming disturbed by the changing circumstances of life, a devotee remains fixed in surrender, knowing that Krishna is the ultimate controller and that everything he arranges is ultimately meant for our purification and return to him. Vivarsi Rupanyavabodhatma Kshemaya Lokasya Characharasya Sattvopapanai Nishikavahani Satam Abhadrani Muskalanam. O Lord, you are always in full knowledge, and to bring all good fortune to all living entities. You appear in different incarnations, all of them transcendental to the material creation. When you appear in these incarnations, you are pleasing to the pious and religious devotees, but for non-devotees, you are the annihilator. This verse reminds us that whenever Krishna appears, his purpose is always to protect his devotees and restore dharma. It is also said in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhanam vinashaya cha daskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Although his incarnations may perform different activities, the common purpose is to remove suffering and guide the living entities back to the path of devotion. Even the destruction of the miscreants is actually an act of mercy because Krishna frees them from their sinful reaction and gives them the opportunity for spiritual progress. This helps us understand that Krishna's actions are never motivated by anger or hatred. Everything he does is for the ultimate benefit of all living beings, whether they approach him with devotion or are corrected by his divine arrangement. Twayam Twayam bhujaksha kila sattva samadhinaveshita chetasaiki tatpadapotena mahatkritena purvanti govatsapadam bhavabdhim. O Lord is thy Lord. By concentrating one's meditation on your lotus feet, which are the reservoir of all existence, and by accepting those lotus feet as the bow by which to cross the ocean of nescience, one follows in the footsteps of Mahajans, great saints, sages, and devotees. By this simple process, one can cross the ocean of nescience as easily as one steps over the hoofprint of a calf. This verse reminds us that the real goal of life is not simply improving our temporary situation in this world, but escaping the cycle of repeated birth and death. Srila Prabhupada explains that the easiest way to cross this ocean of material existence is by following the path shown by great devotees and engaging in devotional service. Whether through hearing, chanting, remembering, or serving Krishna, and any sincere progress, our bhakti has a power to purify us. The example of devotees like Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami shows that even one sincere engagement in Krishna consciousness can lead to perfection. The lotus feet of Krishna are compared to a boat that can carry us across the vast ocean of material suffering, making something that seems impossible become easy by His mercy. Therefore, our focus should be on following the footsteps of great souls and keeping our minds absorbed in Krishna. स्वयं समुतीर्य सुदुष्टरं द्युमान् भवर्नवं भीममधर्वसौढः भवत्पदाम्बोरुहनवमत्र ते निधाय याता सदनुग्रहो भवान्. O Lord, who resembles the shining sun, you are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotee, and therefore you are known as a desire tree, Vancha Kalpataru. When acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nescience, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross. And because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept this method to help them. This purport shows how Krishna's mercy reaches us through the mercy of the spiritual master and the disciplic succession. A sincere soul who desires to return to Godhead is guided by an acharya who gives the proper process of devotional service according to time, place, and circumstances. This spiritual master does not create a new path, but presents the teachings of Krishna and the previous great devotees in a way that helps other advance. This teaches us the importance of following an authorized process rather than trying to approach Krishna through our own ideas. By accepting the instructions of the Acharya, serving in the association of devotees, and sincerely following the practices of bhakti, we receive the guidance need, we receive the guidance needed to cross the ocean of material existence, and we can return to Krishna. येनेरविन्दाक्ष विमुक्तमानिनः त्वयाष्टभावाद् अविशुद्धबुद्धया अरूय कृच्छ्रेण परं पदं तथा पतन्त्यधो नादृतयुष्मदङ्ग्रः. Someone may say that aside from devotees who always seek shelter at the Lord's lotus feet, there are those who are not devotees but who have accepted different processes for attaining salvation. What happens to them? In answer to this question, Lord Brahma and the other demigods said, O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. This purport teaches us that many paths may appear successful, but the ultimate perfection of life is achieved only by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. People may pursue wealth, knowledge, power, or even liberation. But if there is no devotion to the Supreme Lord, those achievements remain incomplete and temporary. Srila Prabhupada explains that even great personalities who rise to powerful positions can eventually fall because their foundation is not connected to Krishna. The example of Dhruva Maharaj shows the transformation that happens when one actually receives the mercy of the Lord. Dhruva initially desired material greatness, but after seeing Krishna, he realized that Krishna's presence was the highest achievement and no material blessing could compare. This reminds us that true satisfaction does not come from gaining more from the world, but from developing love and attachment for Krishna. When we fix our mind on Him through devotional service, we achieve the real perfection of life. तथा न ते माधव तव कनकाच्चेन् भ्रशन्ति मार्गाः त्वयि बद्धसौढः त्वयाभिगुप्ता विचरन्ति निर्भया विनायकानि कपमूर्तिषु प्रभो. O Madhava, Supreme Personality Godhead, Lord of the Goddess of Fortune, if devotees completely in love, if devotees completely in love with you sometimes fall from the path of devotion, they do not fall like non-devotees. For you still protect them. Thus, they fearlessly traverse the heads of their opponents and continue to progress in devotional service. My realization on this verse is that um, This purport gives actually great confidence that Krishna doesn't abandon his devotees. Although a devotee may sometimes face difficulties or even temporarily fall due to circumstances, Krishna protects that devotee because of how sincere and how his, de- how his devotion is so nice. The examples of devotees like Bharat Maharaj and Chitraketu show that even when mistakes occur, Krishna continues to guide and uplift those who are connected to him. This does not mean we should become careless, but rather we should have faith that Krishna sees our sincere efforts. A devotee's true strength does not come from his own ability, from Krishna's protection. When we remain connected to Krishna, no external opposition can ultimately defeat us because Krishna carries what his devotees lack and protects what they have. Sattvam vishuddham chayata bhavan sthita sharirinam cheyapayanam vapu veda kriya yoga tapasamadhibes tavaranam yena jana samihate. O Lord, during the time of maintenance, you manifest several incarnations, all with transcendental bodies beyond the material bodies of nature. When you appear in this way, you bestow all good fortune upon the living entities by teaching them to perform Vedic activities such as ritualistic ceremonies, mystic yoga, austerities, penances, and ultimately samadhi, ecstatic absorption in thoughts of you. Thus, you are worshipped by the Vedic principles. This purport reminds us that the purpose of all our activity should be to satisfy Krishna. Whether someone performs work, charity, austerity, or any other duty, it becomes spiritually meaningful when it is connected to the service of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada explains that without this connection, even advanced societies can become focused only on bodily comfort and temporary achievements. Krishna appears in different ages to teach humanity the proper path. And in this age, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the simplest process of chanting the holy name. This shows Krishna is compassionate because though people in Kali Yuga are unable to perform difficult spiritual practices, he has given a practice process that is accessible to everyone. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and dedicating our actions to Him, we can rise above material consciousness and achieve true happiness. सत्त्वं न चेद्धातुर्दं निजं भवेद् विज्ञानमज्ञानविदं पमर्जनं गुणप्रकाशैरमुयेति भवान् प्रकाशते यस्य च येन वा गुणः. O Lord, cause of all causes, if your transcendental body were not beyond the modes of material nature, one could not understand the difference between matter and transcendence. Only by your presence can one understand the transcendental nature of your lordship, who are the controller of material nature. Your transcendental nature is very difficult to understand unless one is influenced by the presence of your transcendental form. My realization on this verse is that Krishna cannot be understood through material speculation or mental imagination. The Supreme Lord can only be understood by His mercy and through the process of bhakti. Srila Prabhupada explains that people often create their own ideas of God based on material qualities. But Krishna's form, name, and activities are all completely transcendental and eternal. By engaging in devotional service and following the teachings of the Acharyas, we gradually awaken our spiritual vision and understand Krishna as he truly is. This also reminds us that Krishna's appearance in this world is not like an ordinary birth, but a divine appearance meant to reveal his actual transcendental nature. Therefore, instead of trying to understand Krishna to our limited intelligence, we should approach him through devotion, service, and the guidance of genuine spiritual authorities. न नामरूपे गुणजन्मकर्मभिर् निरूपितव्येतव्यतस्य साक्षिणः मनोवाच मनोवचोभ्यां मनुमेयवर्त्मनो देवक्रियं प्रतियन्त्यपतापिः. O Lord, your transcendental name and form are not ascertained by those who merely speculate on the path of imagination. Your name, form, and attributes can be ascertained only through devotion service. So, this purport is teaching us that Krishna can only be understood through devotional service, not through ordinary material senses or intellectual self speculation. Just as we cannot experience the sweetness of something simply by analyzing it, We cannot understand Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes without actually developing a relationship with him through bhakti. Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna's name and his form are completely non-different. Like, like they're not different at all from Krishna himself, which is why chanting the holy name gives us direct association with him. By sincerely chanting and serving Krishna, our spiritual vision awakens and we begin to appreciate his transcendental beauty and activities. This also teaches us that the same Krishna who may appear ordinary to non-devotees is seen by devotees as an all-attractive Lord because their hearts are purified by love. Therefore, the goal is not simply to know about Krishna, but to develop devotion so that Krishna reveals himself to us. Shinvan Grinam Samsmarayam Stachin Chachintyayan Namani Rupani Shamangalani Te Kriya Suyastva Charanaravindayor Avishta Chetana Bhavaya Kalpate. Even while engaged in their various activities, devotees whose minds are completely absorbed by your lotus feet and who constantly hear, chant, contemplate, and cause others to remember your transcendental names and forms are always on the transcendental platform, and thus they can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This purport tells us that bhakti yoga is not limited by one's external situation because devotional service transforms the consciousness of the devotee. Srila Rupa Goswami explains that a person who dedicates their actions, thoughts, and words to Krishna is spiritually situated even while living in this material world. The key is to remain engaged in devotional activities, especially hearing and chanting about Krishna under the guidance of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that hearing from genuine devotees is essential because proper understanding of Krishna comes through the disciplic succession. This teaches us that bhakti is not just a feeling, but a practical process of serving Krishna with our whole life. When our daily activities are connected to Krishna, even ordinary work becomes a form of meditation because our consciousness remains fixed on his lotus feet. Dishtya Haresha Bhavata Pado Bhuvo Bharo Panitastava Janmane Shituhu Distyan Kitam Tvat Padakaisha Shobhaner Draksham Dam Chatavanukam. O Lord, we are fortunate because the heavy burden of the demons upon this earth is immediately removed by your appearance. Indeed, we are certainly fortunate, for we shall be able to see upon this earth and in the heavenly planets the marks of Lord Lotus, conch shell, club, and disc that adorn your lotus feet. This purport reminds us that spiritual position of Krishna's lotus feet and the power of constantly remembering him. The devotees of Vrindavan were not simply attracted to Krishna's physical presence, but to his transcendental qualities and the marks of his lotus feet, which represent his shelter and protection. Srila Prabhupada explains that by always hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, one rises above the material platform and becomes absorbed in spiritual consciousness. Nate bhavasya shabhavasya karanam vina vinodam bhata tarkayamakhe bhavo nirodha stitirapiya vidyaya kritaya tastvaya abhayashayatmani. O Supreme Lord, you are not an ordinary living entity, appearing in this material world as a result of fruitive activities. Therefore, your appearance or birth in this world has no other cause than your pleasure potency. Similarly, the living entities who are part of you have no cause for miseries like birth, death, and old age, except when these living entities are conducted by your external energy. This purport teaches us the difference between Krishna's appearance and the birth of an ordinary living entity. Living beings come into this world because of their desires and karma, but Krishna appears only out of his own pleasure and mercy. He is never forced by material nature because he is always completely independent. Matsyaस्वकाच्चापनशिमवारहंसा राजन्यविप्र Tavatara Tvampashinashtribhuvanam Chayatadonesho Param Bhuvo Hare Yadottama Vandanamte. O Supreme Controller, your Lordship previously accepted incarnations as a fish, a horse, a tortoise, Nrsimhadev, a boar, a swan, Lord Ramachandra, Parshuram, and among the demigods, Vamanadev, to protect the entire world by your mercy. Now please protect us again by your mercy by diminishing the disturbances in this world. O Krishna, best of the Yadus, we respectfully offer our obeisances unto you. So this reminds us that the Krishna's appearance in this world always has a divine purpose. Every incarnation comes with a specific mission, and Krishna appeared as a son of Devaki to protect the devotees and fulfill his transcendental plan. Dishtyam bhakite kokshigata parapaman amshena shakshat bhagavan bhavayana mabodhayam bhojapatir mumurshur gopta yaduna bhavita tavatmaja. O Mother Devaki, by your good fortune and ours, the Supreme Personality Godhead Himself, with all its plenary portions, such as Baladev, is now within your womb. Therefore, you need to not fear Kamsa, who has decided to be killed by our Lord, by the Lord. Your eternal son, Krishna, will be the protector of the entire Yadu dynasty. Mm. This purport confirms that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality Godhead and that all others' expansions and incarnations come from him. The demigods assured Devaki that she should not fear because the Supreme Lord himself had appeared accompanied by Balaram to protect her and fulfill his mission. Okay, with that, I would like to end here. Once again, thank you everybody for joining. And please forgive me if I made any mistakes. It is my ignorance. And if you found anything useful, it is simply from the previous Acharya and Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Madhava. That was such a wonderful presentation. And you followed the process so well. I was observing that how you've learned from everyone else and the other speakers and all. So very nice. And you covered all the 15 verses and gave us the essence of them. Beautifully narrated the verses, recited the verses. So very nice, Madhava. Just a few points I'll quickly share. We have to very importantly remember temporary world, material life will not give us happiness. It's only, or will not give us any protection. Only Lord will give us protection. And if we practice bhakti sincerely, then we will be purified. But the sincerity is the key. And we have to do devotional service to achieve that. And these prayers are so beautiful. They cover pretty much everything of Krishna consciousness. There's chanting, and then there's association, and then there is Guru talking about how Guru's importance in our life. And lastly, the point that you said Prabhupada mentioned in one of the purports, which I really liked, devotees don't complain when they have problems. They don't say, why me? They always say, Lord is giving us this opportunity for us to grow. That's like such a positive mindset, right? Beautiful point. Thank you, Madhava. That was a very nice presentation. Thank you very much, devotees, for coming for Bhagavad Sangha program today. It's so good to see all of you. With that, we conclude the program today.